Good day. In this video, I am going to reflect the task that has been given to us in the subject Server Administration. Task 1. Setting up your lab environment. While doing this task, I learned a lot, most especially on how to set up a lab environment, but first, by installing VirtualBox and also creating a virtual machine in our unit. Task 2. Download and install Windows Server 2016. While doing this task, I have learned that before choosing the right server to download and install, first, you need to know on how many users of devices to determine which Windows server to install and download at the same time, and also to know the steps on how to properly install it to our virtual machines. Task 3. Configure Windows Server 2016. While doing this task, I have learned how to configure Windows Server 2016 by following every step that our teacher has given to us in the PDF we provided and by having a server name that has been changed in a way that will help us to quickly identify device, but also by adding rows and features to also know its purpose. Task 4. Windows 10 installation. While doing this task, I have learned how to install Windows 10 OS to our virtual machine by just following the steps that has been provided to us by our teacher in a PDF file. Task 5. Joining Windows 10 computer to the domain. While doing this task, I have learned how to join a Windows OS, in short the Windows 10 to the domain, which is the Windows Server 2016, by just following the steps that has been provided to us by our teacher in a PDF file. Also on how to create your own user account in the organizational unit, the Active Directory, and lastly, on how to add a computer to the domain given. Task 6. Installing RSAT and creating user account. Time restriction logon. While doing this task, I have learned how to download and install RSAT and its own purpose to allow to enable the IT administrators to manage roles, its features, and etc. And by creating organizational unit on both Active Directory users and computers and Active Directory Administrative Center. And lastly, by putting in restriction in logging in with its time given by the users, and we can perfect this by just following the steps that has been provided to us by our teacher in a PDF file. Task 7. DHCP scope and DHCP reservation. While doing this task, I have learned how to create DHCP scope and authorizing it. And also by creating reservation under the DHCP scope and activating it by using the command prompt or CMD and by typing the command release and renew. Task 8. Create DNS host A record. Create DNS alias record. Group policy management console. Create and link a GPO part 1. Create and link a GPO part 2. Rename and link and delete a GPO. Task 9. Install Windows backup feature. Perform a full backup. Perform a custom backup. Schedule a backup. Examine the backup content. Restore from a backup. So that's all and thank you. I hope you learned something.